I'm hoping that one or two leaders who find the time to switch off and want to seek a bit of inspiration or reflection on where you are with your own school challenges, your own leadership challenges, managing your own workload, mental health, etc. Watch this video, have some ideas to reflect on for the rest of the academic year. So halfway through the academic year, I want to put this picture up on the screen here. So we've got a picture here of a aircraft from Korean Airlines. Now, one or two of you might be familiar with Malcolm Gladwell's very popular book, Outliers, published in 2013. And inside this, he describes cockpit culture. So I guess my question to you is, what can school leaders learn from aviation and medical disasters? And I often think about high-performance schools and its correlation, or not, with having a happy staff culture. So in terms of this image, in the 1980s, 90s, Korean Air experienced multiple airline crashes well above industry average. And Gladwell explains why Korea Flight 801 crashed into a hill on its approach to Guam Airport in 1997. And a quote from the book: "In a series of misfortunes, including bad weather, an offline warning system, and outdated charts, the co-pilot was afraid to ask the question to the pilot, which then resulted in killing 223 people on board." So the example that's provided in terms of the black box, I suppose, was that the first officer said, "Do you think it rains more in this area?" The captain responds with silence. Then the first engineer replies, "Captain, the weather radar has helped us a lot." The captain replies, "Yes, they're very useful." And then that poor communication, I suppose, is that between the flight crew, it was probably the reason for the crash. So if we think about another example, there's a famous chap called Martin Bromley, and his wife Elaine went into hospital for a routine sinus operation, and during anesthetic, it all went horribly wrong. And you can look up the story, it's fascinating. So there was prolonged attempts to rescue her and secure her airway. And in essence, the senior doctors, and I should give you a little kind of graphic here of a hospital theatre, I suppose, for this one. But I suppose here the senior doctors ignored all the concerns from the theatre nurses, who suggested that passing a tracheal tube to unblock her airway. So Elaine died 13 days later, who was otherwise a fit and a healthy 37-year-old mother of two. So both examples. So if I put the Korean Airlines back up here, I haven't got any slides to show you, but I guess just this story is that Korean Airlines were struggling with cultural legacy. And in Korea, the culture is hierarchical. So some cultural norms dictate that juniors are inferior to their seniors. And in this example, in the cockpit, no response was given from the captain. In the medical story, Martin Bromley, his wife was let down by senior doctors who were not prepared to take emergency advice from other people in the operating theatre. So the question is, back to that culture question and school leadership, what have these two stories got to do with education? So I suppose on my travels to schools, colleges, universities around the country, some teachers report to me more happiness and higher productivity than others. And I've thought about this for a lot now, why? And I always show people that are watching this who've I've had the privilege of working with. You'll know my autonomy accountability scale that I've showed many times, and you can find that on my website. And I wonder what makes schools happier than others, and what does the leadership team do in particular to create the conditions where all teachers have their voices heard? So although traditional lines of management exist, leaders create the weather. They create forums where staff voice is heard in all aspects of school life. Decisions on timetables, curriculum design, behaviour policy, to opinions on assessment, values and classroom pedagogy. And they're sought on a regular basis from the school leaders. The leadership door teams, so their doors are open for inexperienced teachers as well as the cynical member of staff. And they're encouraged to share their thoughts, opinions and ideas without fear of retribution. And I guess that message is, no matter how good we think we are, we all need people around us to help us consider our blind sides, particularly during periods of emergency, when suggestions may help us make better decisions. And I've come to that conclusion that those happy schools where staff culture is not just high performing, but happy in terms of autonomy, good school leaders regularly survey the opinions of all their staff and provide them with the tools for their employees to ask those challenging questions. So if I think about all the appraisal systems that I've designed and written in my career, they're only as good as the people that lead them and as good as those quality conversations that are there to enable the whole ship or plane or school environment to thrive. So if you're a leader watching, happy half term. I'm recording this February 2023, halfway through the academic year. Think a little bit about your staff culture. How do you create the conditions where, when things go a bit wrong, is there a day-to-day process behind the scenes to allow your staff to ask those difficult questions during happy and not so happy kind of periods in the school year? Other than that, thanks for watching, and bye for now.